Whoop, that's happening, guys. Welcome back to the 420 News. It's Sunday, guys. Apologies for not being with you there yesterday, but it's just good to get here today. How's everybody out there? Get your comments into the hot boxes. We'll get through them all there in a couple of seconds. I see a couple already in there from Bhagwan. See Bobby out there as well. What's happening, guys? Welcome along. How's everybody doing anyway? How's your weekend? And how's your ganja supply? What have you all got there on the burner? I've got some. What was this? Orange sherbet. Yeah, that was it. Orange sherbet. That's what we've grinded up here at the moment. We had some Gorilla Skittles there as well a little bit a while ago, but we've the orange sherbet there now. Let's see what everybody is saying out there. All right, TG, Temple Growers in the audience as well. He says, what up, all? Big Daddy TG in the house. What's happening, man? I have an old bowl packed up here anyway, guys. As we couldn't start the 420 News without a little bit of civil disobedience. Hey. Bobby's on the dosey dose. Huh? You had a nice old supply of that there, Bobby. You've been going on that one now for a while, haven't you? Must be quite nice. Like, you know, it's if you have such a selection and you're just going for that one, you know. It's kind of like when I was in picking up some coffee there actually yesterday from the coffee shop, and I keep getting the same beans, even though there's quite a selection there. And I've tried a few different ones, but now I'm after trying enough where I kind of have one coffee bean that I keep going back to. And I was quite happy with it. Kind of jump between the organic Papua New Guinea ones or else the organic Mexican beans. I'll jump in Mexican beans. Because yeah, fucking that's what the coffee does to me anyway. I've got quite a low sensitivity to coffee, but one a day does me. But yeah, I suppose just in that, like relating coffee to cannabis, you're going into the coffee shop and I'm just seeing these fucking, do you know where's me jar? There we go. Seeing little mason jars like this all over the place. Hey. But they've got coffee in them instead of a bit of herb. So yeah, it's. Yeah, must be a really nice strain anyway, Bobby. Bit of a long way of saying that. Who else is out there? Temple Grower said he was gifted some, what's that? Some pink kush. Legit pink kush. Very nice. Had somebody actually in the hotbox talking about the pink panties. I'd noticed that a cross there within the run strain. But there was somebody like really bigging up the pink panties. Don't know if that's anyway related at all to the pink kush, but just triggered the old memory there. Hey, what's happening, Teresa? Teresa's happening to the hot box there as well. Oh no, Teresa's saying that it's running low now. We'll have to go shopping. Well, that can be both, I suppose, a good and a bad thing. If you go to the shop and it's fully stocked out, then I suppose it's a good thing. But if you go shopping and you find the shelves are empty, then that's not a good thing. So hopefully those shelves are nice and full there, Teresa, when you do get around to shopping. So here we go anyway, guys. Let's hit this bowl of civil disobedience, which as I said, orange sherbet going up in smoke here now. Oh, that's tasty. That's crazy. I've been like neglecting to change the gauze there in the bowl for maybe about 2 or 3 days, and I kind of did get a little bit clogged. And it's actually here next to me in the ashtray, but like, like it's just pitch black. Like there's nothing getting through that. You see some little bits of light. But I got my money's worth out of that gauze. But I only just changed it before there, and that was the first bowl from it. And whew, good lord, I really need to be changing that gauze at least on a daily basis. Come on, who else is out there is guilty of it? One thing you can't neglect: change your bong water every day. That's one thing you can't neglect. Like I have to really re-emphasize that, like, because there's nothing nasty or like I can't say a shit, like, because like my bong is dirty, but look, you see that water? That's some clean water right there. Like that gunk that's stuck to the glass, that can stay stuck there. You know, maybe that's just giving a bit more surface for any potential tear that's coming through to get stuck to it, and not go into my lungs. Hopefully, but yeah, guys, change your water every day. And I suppose, as I was saying, preferably change your gauze every day as well, because those things really do get clogged, especially if you're hitting it as much as some people. Shall we get one more in before we tear into the news? We seem to have a bit of a technical issue there as well over on the Facebook this afternoon. Yeah, so the stream is actually not live over on Facebook. So apologies there for anybody over on Facebook. Do you know what I should actually do now that I'm thinking about it? Quickly go into my Facebook and share the link to the YouTube. So bear with me, guys. We'll get this up there for those people over on Facebook. Hopefully that dog is not annoying you out the back there as well. We're live now. Boom, there we go. So apologies there now for that one, guys. Only just kind of got a bit of a brainwave. I should get this out there for the guys over on Facebook. Boom. 420 News, Sunday Sesh. Shut up, Rubble. Yeah, that's registering. You're hearing that fecker out there barking, alright, I'd say. Easy. Rubble, shut up, boy, will ya? The guard dog's keeping the studio safe. So there we go, guys. That's that done. One more bowl of civil disobedience, and we shall get stuck into today's 420 news. We've got quite a bit to get through. Unfortunately, we've kind of heavy there now on the negative side of it, right? But I suppose there's a reason for that as well. Like, is we can't be just kind of all sunshines and rainbows and stuff like that. We really kind of gotta get stuck into this kind of dirty stuff as well, where people are being wrongfully dragged before the courts. Kids being robbed of their parents. You know, we'll get stuck into it anyway. But let's engage in civil disobedience, guys, before we do, because disclaimer: what's coming up is quite depressing. You're gonna need this. So there we go. That's the civil disobedience for this part of the show done. Let's get cracking into today's news. As the first headline I have for you is father of 5 after getting 5.5 years in prison for getting caught with €600,000 worth of cannabis. And again, like, you know, it sounds like a lot. €600,000 worth of cannabis. 100,000 worth of cannabis, guys. Guess how much cannabis that is? That's 1 key. That's 5 kilos. 5 kilos. So 6,000. That's 30 kilos. So you got caught with 30 kilos of cannabis. It sounds like a lot. It's still like kind of still like 30 kilos. Oh yeah, that's like think of 30 bags of sugar. Like you know, and then make it a little bit bigger, because obviously sugar will take up a bit less space because it's more tightly packed. But like that's what you're dealing with. Like, this man gets 5.5 years of his life taken away. 5 kids going to be without a father now, having to visit their father, see him behind bars, look at him across a screen for the next 5.5 years. Like, I suppose thankfully never had to have my kids come visit me when I was in prison, so I don't know what that experience is actually like. But I can't imagine it's a pleasant one. And again, let's keep it in like the relevance of this is cannabis. Like, is this justified? I obviously would say not, because you know it's not. The prohibition of cannabis again here doing more harm than good. Like, is it good for society that we now don't have this guy out there selling cannabis? Guess what? There's 100,000 more like him, hundreds and thousands more like him. You know, selling cannabis and quickly replaced, easily replaced. We're doing no good to society. And then we've got 5 kids who are now going to be growing up without a dad. They're going to have to go visit them in prison. What's going to happen there at the prison? Are they going to be interacting with more criminality? Going to be seeing other kind of criminals? Seeing the other criminals' families, kids, maybe make friends with them and then actually kind of get into that life of criminality because they've been, thrown into it through no choice of their own. It's not their fault that their dad is in prison for cannabis, And as I would say, he shouldn't even be there. This prohibition of cannabis is doing more harm than good here. And this is another prime example of it. This guy knew the risks of what he was getting into. But the reason he got into it was a financial one. This guy ran into hard times, much like all of us out there at times. We can be hard pressed for cash. And next somebody says, come here, look, there's a few bags of weed there. Look, dropping down the road and I give you $2,000. Come on, the temptation is just going to be too much, and it's just cannabis. That's it, surely that shouldn't be fucking warranting 5 years of your life taken away, And apologies for having this dude's face up there on the page, but we'll get stuck into it. It was a Dublin man transporting drugs for payment was the answer for his financial problems. He's told the court. But it turned out to be the worst, the start of his worst nightmare. And this is the case here, and your man's named here. He's 34 years of age. He's a father of 5 and was already working several jobs to meet his financial obligations. He was caught going back in December 16, 2022. This is when Detective Garda Jerome Toomey showed up at his house after following him home. He parked up a rental car outside his house and the cops approached him. He then directed the guards to a second car which was parked nearby, and inside in this car there was 2 suitcases holding a total of 30 kilos of cannabis valued at €604,000. He told the guard that he had transported the drugs on 5 to 6 occasions over the previous 3 months and was paid €2,000 per job for doing so. In sentencing then on Friday, Judge Nolan noted that he had fully cooperated with Gardaí in relation to his own role and made immediate admissions. He noted in mitigation his very early guilty plea, good record of work and testimonials handed into court. He took into account the individual charged was a good family man. Keep in mind, good family man. You're taking a good family man away. And his imprisonment will impact on his kids. They're really emphasising here to the judge, but the judge doesn't care. Unfortunately, or at least he gives the idea that he cares, because he says the offence comes with a mandatory sentence of 10 years imprisonment, which in exceptional circumstances the judges can depart from. And Judge Nolan said he found that he could depart from the presumptive mandatory sentence in the circumstances of this case, and he imposed 5.5-year sentence. Guys, keep in mind, 5.5 years, that's a cost to the taxpayers of over €400,000, because it's on average about 80,000 a year per prisoner in Ireland. It's you're talking over 80,000 there, that's insane. During the sentence here, Detective Garda Toomey agreed with the James Dwyer defendant that the individual's role was that of a courier without any proprietary interest in the drugs. He agreed there was no signs of wealth in the individual's accommodation, which he shared with 2 other couples. He told Gardaí he was asked to pick up the items, hold them, and later drop them to someone else. He declined to name those who had given him the drugs, for obvious reasons. He wrote a letter to the court also, in which he sincerely apologised for his poor choices in getting involved in this idiotic activity, describing it as his biggest regret. And this guy is diving on his sword here now, he's going to be admitting, oh yeah, yes or no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, I'm so bold, sir, I'm sorry for being bold, and this is such the wrong thing to do, And in fairness, I suppose, it kind of is, but really, the biggest wrong here is the fact that it was illegal in the first place. The transportation of cannabis shouldn't be illegal, and it shouldn't be illegal to the point of where it's worthwhile for criminals to pay vulnerable individuals like this man, €2,000 for doing so. This guy gets 5.5 years of his life taken away for doing 5 or 6 drops. He made in total there about 10 grand for 5.5 years of his life. That's just wrong. And it's we're paying for it, this, as well as taxpayers of here in Ireland. He said he had been working 2 or 3 jobs at the time, but bills had built up. He said that these offences seemed like an answer to his problems when it was actually the start of his worst nightmare. Mr. Dwyer said that his client had a recreational cocaine habit at the time and is attending counselling and considering study community addiction studies. Council also handed in several testimonials describing how the individual has helped those with mental health difficulties in his community, worked hard to support his family, and has a heart of gold. Again, do you know, from hearing this, like I don't know what who this individual is, but it seems like it's not the kind of guy you want to be putting behind bars, especially for something as benign as like transporting a bit of cannabis, you know, or fucking any drugs for that matter, really. But he submitted his client as made changes to his life, pleaded guilty at an early stage, and made full admission. So effectively, he made work easy for the guards, you know. But let's not talk about the policymakers making life incredibly difficult for the guards and society at large then as well, because we have to deal with the fallout from this prohibition market where, you know, you got these feuding organised crime gangs shooting up our streets there at times. He said he has expressed his remorse in a real way and gained insight into his actions. Mr. Dwyer said he was someone of otherwise good character who has contributed to his society and family. He submitted that the court could have regard to the fact that the drugs involved were cannabis, which he said was a drug of less devastating effect than others. To be fair, come on, devastating. Guys, is that a word you would associate with cannabis? Like, go on, like, even if, like, you were absolutely obliterated the night before, would you even say, I was devastatingly stoned last night? Come on, that's not even a word you would ever even associate with cannabis, like, in any way, shape or form. And unless, like, you know, I was devastated that, shout out to Teresa, hopefully this is not the case for you, that my dealer had no weed. Like, you know, that's maybe the only time that you'd use the word devastated, you know, completely devastated, like, you know, devastation across the nation because of this fucking drought. Do you know, that's the only thing time you could use that word around cannabis is when you've none. And then, you know, they're throwing fucking cocaine and heroin in under the bus there, like, because they're way more devastating. Like, to be fair, like, you know, devastating, that's a word you can use for the abuse of anything. You look at a person there who's abused the shit out of cheeseburgers or sugar, like, you know, you're looking at an absolute blimp of a person who not only abused cheeseburgers, but abused their body and never exercised and took care of themselves, you know. That's devastating. Or, you know, you look at sugar, the other one, and you look at somebody with their teeth are falling out because they never brushed them or something after all that sugar, you know. That's devastating too. So the abuse, the misuse of any substance is devastating, you know. But cocaine and heroin, to be fair, you know, a healthy individual could probably use that in a responsible way. Shout out to Dr. Carl Hart. So there you go. That's the first one coming out of Ireland there. 600k worth of cannabis, 5.5 years taken from this man's life. But more, like, again, I suppose, not belittling that, but more importantly is his children, and there's 5 kids going to be without their dad or potentially having to visit him in prison now over the next 5.5 years. That's just wrong on so many bloody levels. But that's prohibition for you. What are you saying out there? Will you give that dog a treat? Says Pokemon. He's after shutting up now. Yeah, he's just barking at people walking their dogs in the big park outside. So yeah, a real lung ripper as it should be. Yeah, definitely, man. Nice clean gauze, guys. Fresh water daily. Bhagwan's son says it's 2 grams if you was the Garda and their evaluation. Jocko G says, free the buds, lads. So there we go, guys. That's the first headline coming out of Ireland, and then we'll jump quickly into the second headline, which is that there is almost €1 million worth of cannabis seized there above in Dublin Port. This cannabis is said to have originated from Belgium, and it was discovered on a pallet containing parcels within a fridge unit. And here you can just see the head of Waffle, the drug dog, who assisted the Gardaí in finding this cannabis. So apparently the Gardaí, the operation in conjunction with An Garda Síochána made a scoop as a result of detailed risk profiling and with the assistance of Revenue's detector dog Waffle. Excuse me. So again, you know, they're probably their detailed risk profiling is at a big box with with gaps in it. Yeah, that's risky. Get it in there and let the dog sniff around it. Do you know, that's the boys, and they're sipping their tea, and the dog's doing all the fucking hard work. Again, like, you know, free drug dog waffle. Shout out to the dogs against prohibition there. Because it's just ridiculous. You know, we trained this dog. I think it's at a cost of about 40 grand to the state. Um, per year, to keep these dogs and maintain them and train them and all of that stuff included. Like, it's quite a costly thing. And again, all they're doing is just literally sniffing out weed. Come on, like maybe they might, like, can they really sniff it? Like, I suppose they probably could, like, but there's not that much of a smell, to be fair, off of cocaine and heroin. Not that I smell that stuff that often, that often, if at all. To be fair, I never tried heroin, but definitely have drunkenly tried cocaine a couple of times, and I've never really got a smell off it, to be honest. I kind of, like, I don't know what all the rage is about sniffing it. It just smells like nothing. But anyhow, there, you see some of the cannabis there as well alongside of the dog. They said no arrests have been made, and a spokesperson for Revenue said in a statement, the illicit drugs originated from a consignment from Belgium and were discovered in a pallet containing parcels within a fridge unit, and investigations are ongoing. Revenue confirmed the latest seizure on Friday to be part of its ongoing joint investigations targeting organised crime groups on the importation, sale and supply of illegal drugs. Like, I just can't help but think of the manner we're going into this, you know. Like, sure, like, imagine if we just took all of these people and the time that they spend trying to intercept the illegal importation of cannabis, and like we sent them out there to visit some of the fucking vulnerable, lonely people in our communities, to help those vulnerable people. Imagine how much better our society would be, rather than them to be thinking that, you know, giving themselves a pat in the back that we're doing a great job here, look. The statement by Revenue continued, if businesses or members of the public have any information regarding drug smuggling, they can contact Revenue in confidence. To be fair, like, the only phone call they should be getting is, like, if you're really concerned about drug smuggling, fucking regulate the thing already, like, you know? Like, come on, to be fair, like, regulate it already. It's just ridiculous. It'll reduce the amount of smuggling that kind of goes on there, because at the moment you can only smuggle it, which is wrong. And it's not stopping it either, to be fair. Like, come on, like, even illegal cigarettes are getting in all the bloody time. So numerous other seizures have been conducted by Revenue and Gardaí in recent weeks, and their continued efforts to target the organised import and distribution of illicit drugs into and around Ireland. Garda seized almost 200,000 worth of cannabis following searches in Cavan in mid-November as part of the Operation Tara. And the previous week, Revenue officials seized a massive 5.5 kilos in ketamine with an estimated value of over €332,000 at Dublin Airport, while undertaking an intelligence-led operation. So there you go. Like, again, almost €1 million worth of cannabis, and other seizures there. Then it talks about happening down the country. Like, to be fair, I believe in the last 7 days there's been millions, like over 2 million at least anyway, worth of cannabis seized. And to be fair, like, you know, how many of you are out there having trouble getting it? Teresa, let us know what's the story at your dealer there when you get in touch with him later, or her later. Have they got a full stock? You know. I can't help but be caught there, actually. I didn't see this earlier, but Rachel Allen's son Joshua has rude Instagram tells media to go fuck themselves. Go on, Josh, you kid, boy. Fair play, man. I'm glad he fucking has said that, like, because, to be fair, man, they give this young fella a hard old time. Like, he got caught with some cannabis there going back, 3 years ago now, was it? He got caught with a key of cannabis. Like, it probably cost him about 2 grand. They valued it at 20 grand, of course. He ended up doing some time in prison. He got let out in suspended sentence, and they basically have been shining a light up his arse, like, since he's got out, been examining every single thing he's done. Like, it's crazy. I know him personally from below in the gym when I was down there more frequently myself, maybe over 2 years ago. And I can remember at that time, and even talking about him around the case, was being like, geez, they're giving this young fella an awful fucking time, because like, he was an amateur MMA fighter, and they were basically covering his MMA career. He was an amateur fighter. Like, it wasn't a career as such. Like, he wasn't setting off to be professional at that point in time. They were putting needless pressure on the young fella. Obviously, he's a son of a famous lady, but they were only shining the light on him because of the fact he got caught with drugs. Like, where's all the articles about the other Allens and what they're doing in their life and their careers? Like, no, they're only shining the light on Josh because he got caught with drugs. And sure, it's okay to go and stigmatize and terrorize and you know, fucking traumatize this young fella because, sure, he's a drug dealer, he deserves it. It's wrong, like, so fair play, Josh, man. Fair play. Let's quickly click into it there and I want to see, is there a link there to his tweet? No, where is it? Josh Allen's revealed. See, like, they're bringing her up there within the first thing. Like, you know, he's got caught with cocaine for the personal use, got caught with the €22,000 worth of cannabis. Like, jeez, man. Give the young fella a break. He then slammed the. Alright. This is sexual MMA fighter and stonemason talked to his official Instagram page earlier this week. The son and grandson of celebrities, chefs Rachel and Dorina, said he was getting on with his life. First time since 2018. I have nothing hanging over my head. No probation, no more counselling, no more sign on. That's a pain, the whole having to sign on. No more no prison, and no more smelly treatment centres. Josh, dude, shout out to you, man. If you want to come on here and have a chat with myself sometime, man, and lay it out there, now that all that's off your back, and if you want to just fucking have an honest, open conversation, by all means, the floor is yours, dude. I'd love to have you on. But I can totally understand if you want to be just left a fuck alone too, because I can only imagine how annoying it must have been. But he said, it goes on to say, he then slammed some media and praised others. I've been waiting a while to say this. Every single journalist who tried bullying me through media can go fuck themselves. You're all bums, and I'm delighted I'm not in likey. So enough about that anyway, man. Josh, fair play to you, dude. Fair play to you. 101 packed up there now. We keep a pure man as nature intended. Even though saying that, I suppose tobacco is a part of nature too, like, but a lot of people, like, you know, I would love to see somebody grow their own tobacco, and I would wonder then, like, you know, is it as addictive? Is it as, I don't know. Like, have they just really pushed tobacco to be just that icky, or is it just that icky anyway? I don't know, but I keep it pure anyway. Pods, what's happening, Pods? Welcome to the hot box, dude. Welcome. Yeah, sorry, just have been catching up. Breezy D says homegrown amber leaf. Did you ever find a seed in your amber leaf? No. That's gas. I wonder, like, yeah, I suppose, could you actually get that strain, like, you know, the actual particular tobacco strain that they're produced for their decorative purposes, but they're still laden in fucking nicotine, like, and those other kind of related compounds too. Really good pesticides, actually. Believe there's ways in which you can process the leaf to make different kind of sprays, like natural pesticides from the leaf. But yeah, we won't get into that kind of stuff today. Right, let's get cracking back into the news, as the next one coming up, guys, is just a quick cover. We're going to quickly just highlight that recently there was a publication there in Leafy, over on Leafy. So on Leafy, the headline is Ireland, a country on the road to cannabis reform, and that's a question there that they're asking. And it's the subheading there is, with a bill to decriminalise the personal use of cannabis making its way through Parliament and a broad call for change from the recent Citizens' Assembly, Ireland is a country worth keeping a close eye on when it comes to drug policy reform. So this is an article, as I say, over there on Leafy, written by Sarah Sinclair. And I believe the guys from Cron contributed to this article as well. It says it's a 7-minute read. I've briefly gone through it. It highlights the case of Patrick Moore. And it also highlights some of the information there about the Citizens' Assembly within it. And then it goes on to talking about the bill that's going to be up, and what actually is comprehensive health led. Like, you know, I think the outcome was actually really good, but we're missing it because it wasn't what we wanted. We all wanted, like, legalisation. We were so close to when it came to cannabis, that one little vote. But, like, what we actually got was really good, a comprehensive health led approach. Like, if you really want to have a conversation then about comprehensive health led, you can't have that without talking about like the regulated supply of those drugs, about a safe supply. Because the thing is, like you have to admit you're never going to be able to completely quench that desire for altering one's consciousness, like within humanity, within society, I suppose. So within accepting that, then you have to cater for those who wish to, and want to try some of these substances. Give them a safe fucking supply, regulate it, tax it, make it safer, stop stigmatizing people. But anyhow, look, that's just my thing. I don't really want to get stuck into the kind of, oh, it's conspiracy that they rigged it and all of this kind of BS, man. I think the outcome was actually really good. It wasn't exactly what we wanted, but I still think it was a really good fucking outcome. Agree, disagree, I don't know. Hotbox, let me know. But that's my opinion anyway. I know I was a bit upset that day as well watching it. Which he found is the 11th of January 2024, which, if I just quickly look there now, is a Thursday. But another date which I've seen mentioned as well was the 31st, which is a Wednesday. So there are two potential dates there for Ireland to see a voting on Gino Kenny's decriminalisation bill of up to 7 grams of cannabis within the Irish government, either the 11th or the 31st of January. I don't think it says it in this article either. When I was looking through it a while ago, no, they were just dates I've heard myself through the grapevine. So there you go, guys. If you want to go over there and read this in its entirety, do so. It's over on Leafy, written by Sarah Sinclair. Ireland, a country on the road to cannabis reform. I certainly agree with a lot of what was in this. I do think we're actually heading in a very positive direction, and the conversation actually is one which it's progress. It really is progress. Like, we're so close to change. Really, if you go back a couple of years ago and to see where we are now compared to then, we have really made leaps and bounds. It's still illegal, but in terms of the conversation, it's really advanced. It's where I know there's some people out there who are kind of still in the old mindset, but they're a dying breed. They really are the Bobby Smiths of this world. Like, they really are a dying breed. Like, pain, and a multitude of other conditions. You know, so there you go, guys. Leafy, get over there, check it out, give it a read if you'd like. But that was the long and short of it there anyway, I guess. Pods 4420 says, right, man, it's good to get on for some news. I've missed a lot lately, for feck's sake. I've been missing it quite a bit myself, and just trying to get back into me stride here now, as it's as another announcement I have feet, and I suppose it's a good one to get into right now, is tomorrow evening I'm going to be interviewing Conor McLeod from Cannabis Comics. So Connor's going to be joining me to have a conversation about his newest movie that was just released on Friday, guys. So on Friday, Connor released that movie online. I'm quickly going to pull up Connor's one second, I'm going to quickly pull this up. I should have had it open, but he's going to be on for a chat there Friday evening anyway. We're going to have a conversation at 9 o'clock, so we should be able to get that live, guys. Keep an eye out for that live stream. Boom, there we go. So there you go, Canaman TV. To the entire animation series and the movie. So an amazing thing to get an amazing artist to get over there and contribute to, and in doing so you get access to this great movie for a tenner. Come on, to be fair, like, you know, if Extravision was open now today, you probably wouldn't even be getting a bloody DVD off them for a tenner. So there you go, guys. Get over there to canamantv.co.uk. £10, and you'll be able to get access to the entire series of animations, but more importantly, the movie, which was just released on Friday gone. I believe it's a monthly subscription basis, so if you want to stay subscribed and stay supporting Canaman TV and what's going on there, I'm sure that would be greatly appreciated, as I have been given a bit of an inside scoop there that movie number 2 is coming. I've been told a few details about what's actually entailed in it, but I won't spill the beans on what I've learned there. Maybe tomorrow evening when we're chatting with Connor, guys. And if you've got any questions, make sure you fire them to me via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, Hell, if you even got my Telegram, get over there on Telegram, guys. If you got any questions you want to fire Connor's way, let me know. The link is in the description of the show as well, I believe, for the Telegram hotbox, and support an amazing creator within our own cannabis community, that is Connor McLeod, who will be here tomorrow at 9. Boom. Glad I remembered to plug the fact that I was doing that interview tomorrow. Wouldn't be like me to come on here and completely forget. Boom. Sorry, just checking up the hot box. You're all quiet out there anyway. That's, I don't know, is that a good or a bad thing? But let's get cracking into the rest of this news here. As we have a little bit more to get through. There was another one that I wanted to dive into, witchy. And this is a scientific study which has come out saying that they have found no evidence that cannabis lowers long-term illicit opioid use. And it's quite a strong headline, really, to be fair. But then when you actually dive into this, it's not really a very strong study. And in fact, when I did read into it, it's quite a poor study, to be fair. This is a study that's come out of Australia. So it was led by the University of Sydney, published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, and it followed 615 people with heroin dependence, many of whom also used cannabis, over 20 years. And you think, oh yeah, 20-year study, sure, that's good. But the thing is, like, it was done over in a place where they don't have access to cannabis. Like, cannabis hasn't been legal in Australia, you know, to the best of my knowledge. I know they decriminalised it to help reduce that illicit opioid use. No, you were allowing them to go out and buy it off the drug dealer, probably the same drug dealer that was giving them the heroin. Like, come on, idiots. Like, surely they're not this naive. I don't think they're that naive. I just think that they are people who are fearful of policy change, because some of this actually was supported by an addiction centre over there. I believe there's a contribution here at the end. Yes, Professor Suzanne Nielsen, the Deputy Director of the Monash Addiction Research Centre in Melbourne, said the findings were consistent with other new research showing cannabis use does not have a role in reducing opioid use disorder. But to be fair, from what I've seen anyway, and from what I've heard, cannabis used alongside, in conjunction with, it's not alone. It's not an isolated thing that, like, oh yeah, just here's a bit of cannabis there, look, and that's going to help you. Yeah, it might help you, like, but you know, if you get all of these other things with cannabis alongside, then it's going to be much more beneficial for the individual, you know. But again, I believe there is a bit of a bias there. I believe they wanted to reach this determination to kind of to suggest this. Not in the study, because obviously this was a study that was started 20 years ago. They would have been just gathering data over the 20 years. And then recently they had all this data, they compiled it. They said, right, what can we learn from this? Oh, they're using cannabis there. Oh, and they're still using it. Oh yeah, cannabis doesn't help with opioid use. Look, it didn't reduce their use. What I think really shows some of the bias here in this was, she said the idea that it ever did came from low quality research studies when cannabis was first legalized in the US. Like she's putting her study up on a pedestal that they're going on from, because it was like 20 years following 600 odd people. But like what she's talking about, low quality studies in the US, this is anecdotal studies. This is studies which like might actually meet a patient and follow a patient through a therapy. Sure, that's only anecdotal. That's only one patient. But like the evidence speaks for itself there in some of these cases. It's crazy, and it's a lot more than just one patient to it. I think it's there's a lot more evidence to be coming out to show that cannabis actually is beneficial there to be used as in conjunction with other therapies to reduce the abuse of opiates. But anyhow, these suggested there was a correlation in reduction in opioid overdose, but when the studies were reported, they found a reversal of the association, and that the laws actually created greater opioid-related harm. Nielsen's added. Yeah, she's trying to insinuate here that actual cannabis legalization actually leads to greater opioid-related harm. Is how I'm dependence. And you know you can't. yeah, you can't take away from what people are experiencing over there in Canada as one place. America is another place, like where they're really greatly benefiting from greater access to cannabis. They're seeing in certain places where cannabis is being legalized, a reduction in the amount of opiates being prescribed and taken by individuals. That can only be a good thing. And I believe these people are afraid of. Maybe there's vested interest. They're funding these studies as well. Again, fear of wanting to put the tinfoil hat on and going to the conspiracy side of this. But these researchers are definitely carrying out some poor studies here. Um, it's a 20-year study. It wasn't actually a study based to see if cannabis use could actually reduce opioid dependence. If it was, maybe they actually would have shown that it can if you do it right. But it hasn't, because it wasn't never designed for that. you know? Again, they have a vested interest there. They wanted to have this negative outcome and they got it. And Bobby O'Brien says, I have a few friends that escaped heroin using weed along with a few other contributing factors. Family seems to be the understanding help that really gets them through. Weed is an amazing crutch, though, 100%. Yeah, Bobby, man, I hear you. You know, it's in itself. And the Vietnamese soldiers, the population of soldiers that came back from that Vietnam War, those soldiers who were like smoking heroin over there, they all came back, and the majority of them actually didn't weren't addicted to it. But you know, the guys who did continue to abuse it then, and you all probably are aware of this, is that those who weren't actually, they didn't have family and friends to return to. They came back to nobody. They came back to loneliness, to isolation, to the vivid pictures of the grotesque things that they would have witnessed over there in Vietnam. And those guys, those I'd imagine mostly guys. Was there women in Vietnam, or like maybe the nurses and shit, like, but over there smoking soldiers, I suppose, all lads. So those lads, like, they all, those who didn't have family to come back to, they all stayed addicted. That's a massive thing they're showing you, like, that the drug in itself is not really the problem. It's the environment around the drug which is really the problem. And again, you know, cannabis alone is not going to cure anything, but it'll certainly fucking make a massive help when it's accompanied by, as you said, other contributing factors there. Hey, Scatness out there in the audience says, oh, just seen the live stream here. Hey, yo, everyone. Welcome, Scatness Topley here, having a nice stony Sunday out there. 10 more minutes there now, and it's 4:20. Rolling up in the Azores, actually. Shout out to Casa das Drogas. You over there? Are you in the Azores, Casa? Are you in the audience, more importantly? Oh, job, I just seen that I have a bowl packed up. Anyway, that's the job. Reviews, which are very painful things to do. Hundreds of bloody papers to be reading through. But thankfully for me, I kept mine always around cannabis. I was reading through academic papers in cannabis, which was great. But the thing was, like, the quality of some of them was so poor. Even some of the ones that tried to, like, had a positive outcome, like, the quality was so poor because the researchers were incredibly restricted on what they could do. And I learned that firsthand from Dr. Moses Garcia Barranquilla from I believe he's in the Canary Islands. I think he was might be based in Canaries, but was was based in the University of Madrid. I can't remember anyway. Anyhow, Spanish researcher, Dr. Moses Garcia Barranquilla. But he told me himself firsthand, like, as soon as he mentioned the fact that he wanted to do a study on cannabis with Alzheimer's patients, he was told no. And then when he finally did get permission, he could only get access to the lowest quality of patients for his study because cannabis. But what he found there, even within that low quality of patients, is that he wasn't able to make anybody better, but they didn't get worse. He plateaued them. These were patients who were getting worse, and he didn't improve their condition, but their condition stopped deteriorating while undergoing the treatment that was under trial. You know. You know, they're never going to approve something like that. Even to go in there and say, look, I want to actually go in and examine how cannabis works with patients by administering it to them, you wouldn't be allowed, really. Like, the ability to get that would be very tough, I would imagine. But anyhow, rant over. Where are we now? Oh, back to Ireland, the court pages. A man caught with €1,500 worth of cannabis was selling the drug to pay for his own habit. And this was an individual who was caught in the back of a taxi a 23-year-old man named here within the article, and he was selling the drug, he told the court, to feed his own addiction and to pay off a drug debt. Judge David McHugh imposed a 2-month prison sentence consecutive to a 30-month sentence that the individual was already serving for another drug-related matter. The defendant, and gives his address, admitted possession of cannabis as well as having the drug for sale and supply at the Outer Ring Road of Clondalkin, April 5th, 2021. Almost 420 that was. Back then he was probably, getting somebody hooked up for the old gathering that we had. Was it above in the Phoenix Park that year we were, 2021? Yeah. Garda Karen O'Neill told Blanchard's District Court Gardaí were en route to patrol when a routine patrol when they stopped a taxi. Why did they stop a taxi? I don't get that. Taxi driver tip him off maybe. The smell of cannabis is a bit too much for him. The defendant was doing very well in prison, was working as a cleaner and was an enhanced prisoner, the lawyer added. He said, get ahead of the day with the morning. Oh yeah, sorry. That's just fucking a little plug there for their own news. So there you go. That's coming out of the Irish Independent. 2 months in prison for €1,500 worth of cannabis that he was going to sell. 2 months in prison, like that. That's like 80 grand a year. 2 months in prison. So you're talking about 14,000, is it, that they're there for the taxpayer on top of whatever the 30 months he was serving for the other drug related offences. Were they cannabis related as well? I didn't look too much into the backstory of this actual individual, but again, just another one of many currently serving time behind Irish prisons for drugs. They don't need to be there. Like, to be fair, come on. Imprisoning people is not preventing drugs, no matter what. Like, the guards themselves has said this. No matter how much drugs they seize or intercept at the border, on our streets, drugs have still been available in every city, town and village across Ireland with very, very little interruption to supply. Like, that in itself says a lot. You've years and years, like decades of effort, of an effort here to tackle this, and we failed. Like, come on, just admit. Child abuse images, the possession of child abuse images should come. One image alone should come with a mandatory fucking year-long sentence or something for just one image. If you have more than 10 years plus, like, mandatory, and none of this fucking giving the judges the ability to go around, give them what exceptional circumstance. No, mandatory means mandatory. Mandatory means fucking mandatory when there's masks, and it means fucking mandatory when it comes to courts and kids and fucking child abuse images. That's just something that really grinds my gears. Mandatory sentences around drugs, but meanwhile, like, pedos walking out of court, child abusers walking out of court, slaps on the wrists. Sickening. Absolutely sickening. Shine in the bucket. Yo, what's happening? Shine in the bucket. Welcome along to the hot box. No, Pods says stream keeps dropping, or else it's my crappy internet. Yeah, I'm not getting any notifications here on my side about the stream dropping, but hopefully it's just your crappy internet, not my crappy internet. Scatna says, all good. Chairs just cleaning the tent to move the babies under the micro. Oh, lovely. Nice light there, that micro. I wonder, will Santa have one this year for the good boys and girls out there that like to grow some cannabis? Unfortunately, in this next case, a young Cloughan woman arrested for allegedly growing cannabis for sale. You grow cannabis. Oh, the Gardaí need a fucking schooling. Like whoever's writing this needs a schooling at least. We believe the drug was being produced for sale and supply. Do you know what they believe? They believe it was. Why did she have sandwich bags? Was it? Yeah, she had the sandwich bags. She must be selling it. She had sandwich bags. But yeah, you know, from grow lights, it just breaks my heart to think that this woman might have had invested in a nice little micro for herself, and those things ain't cheap. And they have it whipped away by these feckers coming in taking it. It's just wrong, like. But again, you know, imagine having. I would hate the experience. Like, imagine having your door kicked in around you, a load of cops coming in invading the privacy of your home. Like, it's a sanctity. Your home should be a safe place from invasion from these people's like. But unfortunately, you know, if you have a little bit of cannabis, like no matter how much you have in your home, potentially you're liable to have your door taken off the hinges by these guys. You know, for fear of you consuming it and devastating society. It's sickening. It's sickening. Oh, oh, oh. Look what I see. Boom. Boom. That was good timing there to spot that. Yes. And to have a ball packed up and ready for civil disobedience. Oh, it was great. I wonder if before I do my civil disobedience, if I say, don't try this at home, will YouTube allow me to monetize the channel again? Not that I ever got anything off them. Like, I actually don't think, outside of donations that people would make with super chats, I don't think I ever got like anything for things people like for any of the watch, the views and stuff. A couple of cent, I think I got like 9 cent one day or something like that for the views I had. But the super chats were handy. But at the same time, like YouTube was cleaning up off of that as well. I believe with the super chats they were taking like I don't know, were they getting like 4 or 10% or something? Somebody out there might know. I can't really recall. It was just kind of convenient way to have it there for people who wanted to support the show. But to be fair, it's YouTube are getting more support of it than me. Like, and it really pisses me off then as well. Like, you know, you be watching YouTube there sometimes and get hit with those ads. The next Budweiser comes on. They're giving me shit about promoting drugs, even though I'm not. It's civil disobedience. I say, boys, vape, don't smoke. Come on, I told you change your bong water if you do smoke a while ago and change your gauze. Just help messaging. Give me back my monetization, YouTube. No, if that, even if they were to give it back to me, I'm probably not going to set it back up now to even, just because if people want the support, Patreon is still up and running, and absolute legends over there still keeping the Patreon in support. I believe there's 14 of you last time I checked. That number can change from time to time, but there was a couple of you over there chipping in anyway, and that's helping cover the cost of the website and the streaming platform on a monthly basis, which is absolutely amazing. Rarely do I have to throw in a couple of extra euro here and there, just to keep the lights on, so to speak. So that's absolutely amazing. PayPal is still up and running there as well if people wanted to support through the PayPal. But again, the Patreon is doing all that I need. Absolute legends. Maybe coming back up there now next year as we be getting to train and doing a lot more stuff outdoors. Maybe we might be needing a bit more funding around then, but until then we won't worry about it. To everybody else who has supported the show till now, though, absolute legends. And everybody else who just keeps coming back to watch, heroes. What's happening in the hot box? Oh no, Mr. Wes, it's happening for you too. Damn. And it's in a bit of an issue there within the Streamlabs. So apologies there, guys, if we are getting a bit of lagging out there. Bogwan says, have you looked into the other streaming sites? I have actually. I think I should be live over in Rumble if I clicked that there earlier. Not too sure if I clicked Rumble, did I? No, I didn't get Rumble up there at all earlier, but I do have a page over on Rumble, and I normally do go live on that, but I just didn't do it today, unfortunately. Teresa says 100%, and they scream, think of the children pedos walk all the time. Keep dropping for me too. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, having some issues there with frames dropping. Apologies. Just going to quickly open up the next headline there for you. We've got one or two more there for you before we finish off here today. The next one, guys, is coming out of Italy. And again, it's another study which was done over there in Italy, and it was done on pre-modern human skeletons. And what they'd done here is these skeletons were buried back in the late 1600s, I believe. Excuse me. So like what, almost over 300 years old these skeletons are. And what they found in these skeletons was evidence that costable. So the researchers here in this case are suggesting that potentially these were recreational cannabis consumers, but others are suggesting that potentially it could be evidence of self-medication utilizing cannabis back then. Um, so whichever you tend to believe, what it certainly is evidence of the use of cannabis over 300 to 400 years ago within Italy, by patients there from that hospital, because that's where these bones came from people who would have passed away at the hospital. They would have been buried then, and they were just recently, what would you say, resumed, what's it called when they dig up a body again? Exhumed. um, they were dug up and tested. So it shows like, potentially it could have been even like, I don't know. Is there evidence there that maybe they were even administering cannabis as a medicine within the hospital at that time, or maybe there were some herbalists out there administering it. But it certainly does show that cannabis was being used back then. And I suppose supports the use of cannabis as a medicine potentially. If it was to be, but there's no evidence supporting that the hospital actually used cannabis as a treatment. It says here, none of the Granada's hospital's records suggest cannabis was being used as a treatment. So potentially recreational, or there as is Shakespeare 17th century. I don't know. It suits him anyway. Suits him. Yes. And then, we go from there where potentially these people could have been self medicating with cannabis a couple of hundred years ago. To, like here in Cork, where uh, a man took cannabis for pain relief. Um, he's up in court. This is a man of 65 years. So this individual is 65 years of age. He's from below in Ballydehob. I'm not going to read out this individual's name. I'm not too sure if it's legible on screen, but anyhow, this individual was up at Bantry District Court, and she told Judge James McNulty that the accused handed over €50 worth of cannabis resin to the investigating officer, Garda David Barrett, and told him it was for his own personal use. In mitigation, solicitor Flor Murphy said his client is in serious ill health and takes cannabis for pain relief. He accepts that cannabis is illegal and has gone to his GP for other pain relief, Mr. Murphy told the court. Judge McNulty dealt with the case with the offence by imposing a €300 fine. So your man got caught with €50 worth of cannabis and gets a €300 fine, and his cannabis taken off him, and is probably put onto oxys or something like that instead. Like, it is not this patient. She said the colour was gone out of her life. Go check out the interview I did with Alicia there for Support Don't Punish. I believe that was nearly 2 years ago now. I should get her back on her again for a chat sometime. More importantly, she should get over to Alicante and meet her in person and do an interview actually over there in the sun on the beach. But anyhow, but she talks about that, how it just took the colour out of her life, that she just wasn't like happy, wasn't able to laugh, and wasn't able to enjoy food or anything like that at all. And next, somebody suggested to her, like, oh yeah, why don't you try cannabis? Gave her a vape. And next, like, the difference was day and night. She said that she just noticed the pain melt away. And before she knew it, she had an appetite back. Before she knew it, she was sleeping great. And she was adamant then, like, once she got the benefits, she was like, oh no, this is for me. Like, she was using it legally for so long before she got access to it as a legal patient. Look at this man now, forced to go back to his doctor to undergo these fucking different drugs, which are all under trial. Like, any drug that you get off your doctor is all in what's known as a phase 4 trial, where it's released to the mass public. And there's pharmacovigilance, then, is what the term is, where there's a continuous feedback. So if any adverse any adverse reactions happen when released to the mass public, they get fed back to the doctors, to the pharmacists, and back then potentially should be to the companies, and they should recall stuff then based upon that, or maybe change labels and stuff based upon what they learn when it really is released to the mass public. But it always stays in that, like, it never really comes out of that. It's dropping, pain in the arse, probably got the kids inside hopping off of the Wi-Fi. But again, you know what I was just saying there before we got disconnected, was that this is just an absolute travesty. This man shouldn't be treated like a criminal, shouldn't have to be paying €300 to the courts, and certainly shouldn't have to be forced to take some of these other medications based upon the opinions of judges and policymakers who are ideological lunatics. They don't give an F about the people these policies affect. And here we see a prime example of one of the negative outcomes of the effects of cannabis prohibition. So hopefully I'm back loud and clear with you there again. Anyway, apologies for the dropping of the stream there. That is a pain in the arse. What's been said out there? Bobby O'Brien says I talks to the peeps in the hot box more than my friends here. Bogwan's on the other stream side kick. I'll check it out anyway. Nice one, Bogwan. But yeah, guys, as Bobby says, get over there to the hot box. Great community over there on the hot box. Really cool vibes. You know, it's a nice place. You know, if you're sitting alone at home, just sparking up a doob and about, you know, just enjoy it. As much as it's probably wrecking yours too. But another one coming out of Cork there, so we'll quickly just try to hop through these before the stream drops any bloody more on me. What a nightmare. Gardaí discovered €8,000 worth of cannabis in a biscuit tin here in Cork. So this was a tweet that recently just went out by the guards, picked up quickly then by the newspaper, who turned it into a news piece. This is in a Jacobs USA biscuit tin. Like, guys, how many of you out there have opened up these biscuit tins only to be heartbroken to find fucking needles and sewing thread and shit inside it? Like, god damn you, mammy. So many times disappointed opening up these tins, but like never have I actually had one that contained cannabis like that. It's certainly one I'd love to open up. But it does remind me of those tins that started coming around there maybe about 2 years ago. That was kind of a thing that was here in Cork anyway, and maybe across Ireland. These cannabis tins, I think I might have one here in my drawers somewhere still. But they were like little tuna tins, if you get me, and a little pull ring. And next there was a couple of buds inside it. I don't know, man, it just seemed a bit excessive to me anyway. A little Mylar pack is probably more than enough. But here we see a USA biscuit tin, $8,000 worth of cannabis inside it. So just under half a kilo, about 400 grams or something like that, maybe inside there, a couple of ounces. The Garda spokesperson said a man has been arrested following the discovery and is due to appear before the courts. What I want to know is where's the biscuits until we find out. Apologies. So a man arrested anyway in Cork after his biscuit tin of cannabis was discovered by the guards. Heartbreaker. Then we jump right on and we go across the pond there to England. We're over in England, guys. This is the headline coming out of the UK. A body has been found after a Bolton restaurant fire as police confirm suspected cannabis farm. Apologies. So this is actually in the Bolton Road, but it's from the Greater Manchester. So is that in Manchester? Apologies, my geography in the UK is all over the gaff. But look, nonetheless, the facts that it is, a body was found after a cannabis farm went up in smoke. And I've been talking about this a couple of times here in the past, you know, is when you get these illegal cannabis grow operations where a fella will come in and just completely take over a place, strip it, grow from wall to wall, as much cannabis as possible in there, and bypass the electricity meter illegally, and doing so create like an incredible fire hazard, and leading to now, as I called back then, like there's going to be deaths. I believe there's been deaths in the past as well associated with fires and cannabis farms, and the bypassing of electricity. It shouldn't really be done. to be fair. But unfortunately, because of prohibition, you have people who shouldn't be growing cannabis anyway and shouldn't be selling it. So if they're going to be growing and selling it, sure, why the fuck should we pay for electricity? Sure, if we get caught, we're getting caught anyway. Like, in for a penny, we might as well get our fucking. Oh, that is annoying as hell. Never had as much of a problem with the stream really before as that, but anyhow. So look, hopefully this is a wake up call there for policymakers over in the UK. You need to regulate the growing of cannabis over there, and at least on a commercial scale. You know, if people want to grow themselves at home, allow them to do so. Like, I don't think people who are going to grow like in a 1.2 meter square tent and maybe even a veg tent alongside it is going to want to bypass the electricity. The cannabis they get back for that, for the amount of what they pay for the electricity, it's worth it. They won't be bothered bypassing the electricity, so you won't have risks like this. But when you get big gangs coming in, like these gangs like you see over in the UK, they don't give an F, and they will bypass the electricity and create this fire hazard and put communities at risk then as a result. So I hope the policymakers over there see this as that wake up call and step in and do the right thing. End cannabis prohibition. Make fucking the community a safer place for everyone involved. So human remains were found by detectives of the Greater Manchester Police during yesterday's search of a burnt building on Bolton Road in Farnsworth, Bolton. The detectives, it says here, they said early indications suggest the first floor where the fire broke out was being used as a cannabis farm. The fire is now being treated as suspicious by the police. Police are working out with like all their the restaurantees inside of there, you know. So that they have to close down now, unfortunately. But luckily, that this could have been a much more devastating thing had that the blaze been a more significant one, and maybe the restaurant being upstairs above the grow rather than actually downstairs below it. A statement made on Sunday by the GMP read, on Saturday the 2nd of December 2023, human remains were found during the search of a premises on Bolton Road in Farnsworth, Bolton. Greater Manchester Police and Fire Rescue Service had been called to reports of the fire at approximately 1 p.m. on Monday, 27th of November. Since then, efforts have been ongoing to make the building safe and assert the cause. The police force added that inquiries are ongoing with the working theory that the fire originated on the first floor, which appears to be a cannabis farm. Detective Chief Inspector Andrew Neesmith of GMP's Major Incident Team said work is ongoing to identify the deceased, and we are committed to ensuring the potential family members are fully supported and informed of updates of the investigation. The loss of life is a tragedy, and I understand the upset this news will cause in the local community. I'd be curious to know, was that person like the person growing the cannabis? Or was there somebody actually not even attached to the growing of the cannabis? Because the full headline anyway to get through, and we leave it then at that. But my apologies there for the stream constantly dropping there this evening. I'm seeing notifications. I'm just looking at them there now every 2 minutes. That's shit. But sorry. Finally, bit of positive news to close out on. As I said, I was quite heavy on the negative stuff there a bit earlier in the show, but the final one, and a good one, is that Germany are likely to legalise cannabis use, and the date for the legislation to be enacted is going to be April 2024. And you know what 420 is for, you know. Because in 2024, 42024, yeah. It works out somehow anyway. But potentially April. I wonder, will they actually have April 20th as the date on which they'll commence it, you know? Who knows? But German legislators have got together. They've agreed on the legislation, but it just still has to be voted upon. I believe it's going to be voted on now very soon. And the date there is going to be April 24th, in which the voted upon legislation will be enacted. So all going well, April 1st, it's saying here in 2024, the change is going to happen 1st of April in Germany, 2024, all going well. And the setting up of cannabis social clubs then is going to be a starting with licenses, I believe, or something like that anyway, being allowed on July 1st. 2024. So very soon Germany is going to be seeing massive changes over there around cannabis. The health ministry is on board. They were recently on quoted in combating some of the critics of the legislation. and they've made very strong arguments there in support of the legislation, and in that it being in the best interest of society to go down this road, because prohibition isn't working, sadly. Unfortunately for these prohibitionists, it's not working for you. So, luckily for us and support legalization, we're winning. And Germany is just another another card in the house of cards that's tumbling down. So this is over there on Forbes.com. Um, while initially there will be plans for criminal liability for amounts exceeding 25 grams, now quantities ranging from 25 to 30 grams of cannabis in public spaces and 50 to 60 grams in private spaces will be considered an administrative offence. Criminal offences apply only to possession beyond these limits. Excuse me. Additionally, potential fines are expected to decrease from a maximum of 100,000 to, I think we're back there again. So that's pretty much the 420 news there. Anyway, I finished off with that positive one. Germany to legalise cannabis. So Germany is definitely going to be on the to visit card in 2024, along with Thailand, along with Malta, definitely along with Barcelona. I have to 100% get over there to Barcelona. Shout out to all the Spanibus heads. I'll be booking my trip there, and I'll be at Spanibus this year as well for sure. So I'll be getting that one ticked off anyway, definitely. But there's a good few places that will be on the list of places I'd like to visit and experience somewhat of a legal cannabis industry. So there you go, guys. Much appreciated, guys, that every single one of you out there who grinned and bared it through all of the dropping of those the stream throughout this. Again, my sincere apologies for it. I'm going to start finishing up, but before we do, we'll get through any comments that you want to get into the hot box, any observations you might have, anything you just want to get off your chest. Get it in there now. I'm packing up a bowl, and we'll blaze this, and then we'll say our goodbyes then. That was the long Irish goodbyes. Let's grind it up this evening. Just gone in there. Nice keefy ending actually as well in this grinder. Lovely keef after coming off of that orange sherbet. So that's what's being packed up there at the moment. Also, I had a question come in there by Pods4420 asking, is Thailand not going to restrict the cannabis trade over there? There was a bit of rumbling around that, but I don't think it's likely. I think the cat's out of the bag now. I think maybe they might change it up a little bit, but I don't think that they're gonna like put that back to the way it was prohibition. I don't think so. Maybe they might increase regulations a little bit, maybe make it a bit more health focused or something along those lines. But in terms of going back to prohibition, I can't see Thailand going back that way. It seems like the government that they have there at the moment, anyway. And I'm so far removed from it. From what I'm hearing, is they're entertaining the concerns, and there's potential changes coming, but not ones which would put it back to prohibition era type stuff. I think there might be more restrictions around, like, say, edibles and stuff like that, maybe. And maybe about like how flowers can be sold, like how it's presented. A little scream there into the box because the stream dropped again, but I think we're back. Pods for 420 says maybe it's just to get rid of those little businesses and side shops. Yeah, you see, I think that's possibly it. I think it's just a bit of a tightening of the industry. I think that's all. Whether that can be a good or a bad thing, I don't know. I think potentially any tightening of regulations is potentially a bad thing, because if that's going to increase any likelihood of people having to operate then in a black market, a grey area, so to speak, then I think that's a negative thing. But in terms of like maybe like just increasing restrictions in terms of like, look, shade out your windows, reduce like the amount of cannabis leaves you have in places or something, like no advertising. Like I'm an avid supporter of no advertising for all drugs. I don't think any drug should be advertised. I think the only thing that should be advertised about any drug is how to use it, dosage, and all and the harmful effects. That's all. I think that's all. I think that's all that should be advertised about any drugs, alcohol included. I don't think we should be seeing any fancy ads for Budweiser or any fancy ads for any other type of drugs out there. Shout out New Zealand and USA. But no drugs should be advertised. Like, to be fair, education, dosage, how responsible use, harmful effects, like that's all you need to advertise about these substances. And then if people want it, let them seek out their brand, let them seek out their strain or their fucking their beer. I don't know, did I just see a disconnected sign? But anyhow, as I say, I'm a supporter of no advertising for any drugs. Education is the most important thing about a substance, including cannabis. Let's blaze one up anyway, guys. Little civil disobedience. It's not 4:20 anywhere just yet, so I think it might have been 2 minutes ago. Isn't there that one place that's like got a half hour? Maybe that's not this hour though. Anyhow, let's civil disobedience this one and say our goodbyes. Oh, that Keith. As I said, that was a nice keefy bowl there now. The last bit in that grinder just had that extra bit of keef in it. Oh, and it gave it a lovely hit of hash. Lovely. As you can see, an extra thick load of smoke around me. Disclaimer, kids, don't try that at home. Unless you're protesting and engaging in civil disobedience like me. So everybody out there, anybody else got anything to say before we go? Keith Halloran out there says, no bother, keep up the great work. No, not a bother, keep my man. Serenable is out there as well. What's happening, Serenable? Getting some waves there in the hot box earlier. They should be though. They don't make the tins like they used to, says Pogwan. Guys, everybody, nice one for your contributions there throughout the show. My apologies. Hopefully, next time I do go live from here tomorrow evening for the interview with Conor McLeod. Hopefully, that freaking disconnection issue will be snuffed out. Fingers crossed. Seem to have some gremlins there within the system somewhere. But until then, anyway, guys, have a lovely Sunday, stony Sunday, because I know I've definitely had mine. I have my fair share of civil disobedience done. Go in there now, enjoy the rest of the evening. Got some plans there with some of the guys in the hot box as well for later on this evening. But yeah, until then, have a nice one, guys. Much love, peace, stay blazed. Oh, Pod's getting in one there. I think I'll have a keefy joint now. Nice. Thanks for the show, Martin. Laters, everyone. Laters, Pods. Enjoy that keefy joint, my man. I know the end of this grinder has definitely got a nice bit of keef in there. I think I'll top up an old bowl there as well later with some of that. Laters, Mr. Wes. Laters, Teresa, and everybody else out there as well in the hot box, guys. Have a blessed evening. Peace, folks.